question is, are you ready?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Monday. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 187 of the Throwdown, where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a Washington State-based wrestler, Mr. Patrick Tully. Patrick is a fixture on the West Coast scene and one half of the IPA, the Indie Protection Agency. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Awesome. Awesome. And as we get started, let me direct your attention to the ticker that's running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all or at least most of Patrick's social media accounts along with mine. So do us a favor, if you aren't a follower or subscriber, take the time to go to each of our platforms and do so. It definitely helps both of us. And any questions or comments you guys have, just drop them in the chat and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
So I'm on my fourth year. I started when I was 33. I'm 36 now. And it's been a heck of a ride the last 4 years now.
Absolutely. So, you know, kind of like Diamond Dallas Page, you got your start a little later than a lot of guys.
A little bit later. Definitely something I wish I would have gotten into a little bit younger, just because I know that I'm not going to be able to have as long of an in-ring career as I would like to. So,
Right. So who actually trained you?
So I trained at the Grit City Wrestling School down in Tacoma, Washington. I've been trained by Pitfall Jones, Ethan HD, and Johnny Finn.
Nice. So in terms of the early portions of your wrestling training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to kind of wrap your mind and body around?
So I thought it was going to be a lot harder on the physical side of it for me. But I grew up playing most sports and everything. And so the part that ended up being the hardest was the understanding and the logic of it. That part took me a little while to get the grasp of.
Got you. So looking over at the Instagram chat, we've got some people trickling in. We've got Terrell Rocket 20, S4MSZ4. My brother from another mother, Stephen Colosi, is hanging out. And Jesus the Virulent has joined.
Very nice. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
So, you did mention that you did have an athletic background, prior to professional wrestling. What sports did you actually compete in? Was it sports, martial arts, what?
So I primarily played football, but I played most sports. I played a year of basketball. I wrestled for a year, but my primary one was football.
Gotcha, gotcha. Are you still a football fan?
Not as much as I used to. The NFL's gotten a little bit boring as of late. But yeah, I still watch and I enjoy football.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I'm presuming simply because this has been the case with the majority of people I've had on the show, that you've been at least a fan of this stuff the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
Oh yeah. Been a fan of it most of my life. I fell out of love with it like most people do at one point, and then I circled back around. But yeah, most of my life I've been a pretty big fan.
Gotcha. So, what would you say is your earliest wrestling related memory?
I don't remember the exact match or anything, but I remember watching WCW as a kid with my Dallas Page action figure that did the diamond cutter pose, and I was just sitting, playing with that, watching wrestling. I was a WCW kid growing up, and that's my earliest. So, but I just remember that so vividly. I just don't remember which. I know it was an episode of Nitro, but that's all I can remember.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, you know, I was also a WCW kid growing up, and it's funny, you know. After what happened in the mid '80s or so, when McMahon tried to make his move and basically take over the time slot on WTBS, you know, that really put a bad taste in my mouth for the WWF at the time, and pretty much, you know, until I was in college, I did not watch WWF. I made a conscious choice. I was just not, you know, I was so loyal to WCW that I was just not going to watch them. And then, you know, in college, I watched a little bit, and you know, I saw the very, very young, very early stages of The Undertaker, and that kind of drew me in. And you know, and so I was like, okay, I guess I'll give this a shot, you know. And like I was saying before we went on the air, you know, I got to see the Monday Night Wars start to finish as it happened, and you know, it's just really cool stuff. I mean, you know, it's really been a blessing. And you know, we were also talking a little bit before we went on the air. You know, I had asked if your ring name was a Tully Blanchard tribute, and you explained that no, it actually is not. So if you wouldn't mind, give us the explanation of Patrick Tully again.
Yeah, so Patrick comes from when I started training for wrestling. I wear a pair of shorts every time I train that are Patrick Star from SpongeBob, and then Tully comes from, for my Irish roots, Tullamore whiskey, and I just shortened that down to Tully. So
nice,
I'm not
nice.
But a lot of people give me a lot of credit on it. So
gotcha. And you know, tell us a bit about the Indie Protection Agency. I love the APA shout out with that. How did that come together? Tell us the story of how IPA came to be.
So it's actually a pretty funny story. So for SOS Wrestling, which is out of Tacoma, we do shows at a brewery in Seattle a couple times a year. And at the time, me and Tristan Marcus, my tag team partner, we were what were called Island Boys. We were just kind of lackeys for the big bad of the island. And we ended up getting thrown into this last minute tag match because scheduling conflicts and everything like that. And we went up against CAT, which, if you know anything of the Indies, CAT, they were an amazing tag team. Rest in peace, Scott. But we went up against Cat, and afterwards, we were getting a couple beers at the bar at the brewery, couple of the guys are like, "Oh, you guys had some good chemistry. You thinking of tagging together? And what's your name going to be?" And I was just joking because I was sipping on an actual IPA. I was like, "Oh, we're going to be the IPA." And then, "Oh yeah, what's that stand for?" And at the time, it was going to be Island Protection Agency because SOS is on an island. And Tom Allman, who is a big name in the indie well over here, he just kind of looked over at me and he goes, "That's actually a really good name." And it just stuck from there, and we grew it, and now we're the Indie Protection Agency, and for some reason, people really like us.
Nice, nice. Well, like I had mentioned before we went on the air, it was definitely Stephen Colosi that sort of put you on my radar. And, and watching, his first match with you as the opponent, and it was incredibly entertaining. And he absolutely sings your praises for just being such a great dance partner for the first match.
Well, that goes to him as well. For he understood and listened so well that it's a 50-50 dance on that one with us, because without him, who he is in general, that match wouldn't have gone as well as it did at all. For it being if you were to watch that without knowing it's his first match, I don't think anybody thinks, "Oh, this is his very first match ever in a ring." That's how well.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have the deer in the headlights look that a lot of new wrestlers sometimes gravitate toward. He basically looked like he knew he was supposed to be there, and he looked confident and ready. So
Oh yeah,
like you said, you really, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know that was his first.
I sing his praises just as much as he praises me on that. I whenever I watch that match back, I just think of how amazing he did it in it as well. So, and I know he's watching. So just remember, 50-50 dance on that. You were amazing on that.
So, away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Well, that's a very large can of worms to open up, because as you can see behind me, I collect action figures and title belts and everything. It's a pretty big hobby of mine. I make goofy customs. I made myself, and then I made my tag team partner. So stuff like that.
Nice.
Teaching myself how to sew right now, so I can hopefully make some of my own gear. I do figure photography. I make shirts and stuff for entrances. I have a lot of hobbies, just not enough time for all of them.
I feel you. So, we're mostly a wrestling related show, but we do dabble a bit into pop culture and that kind of thing. And I'm always looking for recommendations. So by any chance, are you watching or listening to anything really cool right now?
I've been watching a couple shows, like the Twisted Metal show. That one's a pretty fun one, which actually falls into the wrestling category because Samoa Joe plays.
Samoa Joe. Yeah.
I've been watching the Fallout show, trying to get into that. It's been pretty good. I've liked it so far. It takes a little bit to get into for me because I was never big into the video games for Fallout, but I'm enjoying it. So those are the main two things I'm watching right now.
Gotcha. So another outside of wrestling question, and that is, outside of wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
Well, this is probably going to be one of those kind of cliche answers, but it's my dad. He's always been very supportive of me. He might not understand the reason why I wrestle or anything, because he's never been a huge fan of wrestling. But he's definitely supportive of it. And without him, I don't know if I would have ever actually gotten into it. because he's pushed me to be a creative person, and to be a wrestler, you have to be a pretty creative person as well. So,
oh, for sure, for sure. And you know, we were talking a little bit, you know, before we went on the air, and you're basically kind of based out of Northern Washington. What would you say is your favorite thing about Northern Washington?
my favorite thing about Northern Washington. That's a difficult one. I do enjoy the cooler weather. I'm not built for the heat. 6'3", about 260 right now. So the cooler weather in the state all year round is something that helps me out quite a bit, and I enjoy that.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a smaller guy, but I mean, I'm definitely a fall and winter person. The summer heat out in Georgia just zaps me. I
I
mean,
believe it.
so you know, they say that the best wrestling personas are usually pretty much yourself, kind of turned up to 11 or 1,000 or whatever you want to, whatever number you want to choose. So tell us a bit about in-ring Patrick Tully and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
We're similar. Patrick Tully is more of a drinker than I am. The whole APA ripoff idea that
Right.
they drink, smoke, play cards. He drinks a little bit more than I do. He's a fun-loving guy. He's laid back, like I am. A little bit too much sometimes. Sometimes to his own detriment, where he gets a little overwhelmed with things, just because it's not going according to plans, because he doesn't plan. He just kind of lets things unfold the way they're supposed to unfold. He doesn't make plans, where I'm kind of meticulous in my personal life. I like to plan things, and I know how things are going. So those are our biggest differences, but our similarities are there with it as well, where I'm kind of a goofy guy, and Patrick is definitely a goofy guy. And that's the easiest part of it, is just keep the honest parts of myself and keep that in the ring, and then you can throw the little silly things in there with it.
Gotcha. So Colosi actually just posed a question over in the Instagram chat, and he says, what does Patrick Tully order at Dawson's on the corner of Grit City?
He misses Dawson's, I see. So on show days for SOS, the ring crew, we go over and get breakfast, usually at the small dive bar, and I usually get steak and eggs with home fries. That's my go-to, medium rare. That's the breakfast of champions for me right there, and a Corona with lime.
Nice, nice. So you know, it's been a few years, but let's step back into the Wayback Machine a little bit and tell us, you know, we were talking about Colosi's first match with you. Tell us about your first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts? Tell us about it.
So my first match was against my coach, Pitfall Jones,
Okay.
at React over in Richland, Washington. I was supposed to be the heel. He was the babyface, which is fine. I was green. I didn't know what I was doing, but Pitfall, he knew what he was doing, so he was able to take us through it. But things went a little south because of how inexperienced I was. There was a moment where he was going to go up to the top rope while holding me in a wrist lock. Then I was going to kick the rope. He was going to end up crotching himself on the top rope, land on the apron, and then end up on the floor. And I kicked the rope. He crotches himself. He bounces a little out of whack, and he misses the apron and goes straight to the floor. and there's no padding. It's straight to a dance floor. And I got out and I moved on. I picked him up, scoop slammed him like we talked about and everything. And it didn't go quite according to plan. Unlike the Colosi match, I was very much the deer in the headlights in this match, just because when it didn't go right, I just didn't know what to do.
Right.
We got through it, and overall it wasn't the worst match, but it's definitely not something that I would watch back and be like, oh yeah, I'm proud of that and I'm fond of that. It's definitely one of those things where I'm like, ugh, things could have gone so much better.
Gotcha. Well, moving on from that to happier times, if you can narrow it down, tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
So, of course, my Colosi match, that's up there towards the top. Definitely one of my favorites. Definitely top 3 for sure. I'm very fond of a hardcore match that I had with Dove and Dangerous at Reactivate. It's what we had an awesome hardcore match where we won the tag team championships from Dove and Dangerous. That one was a lot of fun. But my all-time favorite right now would actually probably have to be the closing match, just because of how well it went. And I go back to it every once in a while just to watch. And it's the sling blade that he gives me that keeps bringing me back to it.
Oh yeah. Yep. So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure you've probably developed a few of these. So what would you say is your biggest wrestling-related pet peeve?
Ooh, my biggest pet peeve. So this might cut a little funny, but when people stop training when they start doing shows, they think now that they're doing shows, they don't have to keep the irons sharp and train anymore. They think they just get away with, oh, I'm doing shows now, so I don't have to go to the gym. I don't have to take any of these practice bumps in the ring anymore. I know what I'm doing. You need to take a little bit of pride in what you're doing and still train.
Absolutely. The day you stop training and the day you stop learning, you stagnate and you become dangerous.
Exactly.
So if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic? This is, over the time I've been doing this has become one of my favorite questions, and it's been almost a 50-50 split, and everybody has their unique reasons for answering one way or the other.
That's definitely a good question. It's a hard one. If I'm not good on the mic, I don't do a lot of mic work. That's usually my tag team partner's job. I feel like being great on the mic helps a lot more, because being great in the ring can go a certain distance, but if you're great on the mic, it carries you a lot further. If you look at people like The Rock, Stone Cold, Joe Hendry right now, people like them, they're amazing on the microphone. And so they can do very basic stuff in the ring to carry that along with it. So I feel like the mic skills go a little bit further.
Got you. So what has been the most unusual encounter that you have had with a fan? Do you have any funny fan stories or unusual fan stories, or you're smiling?
This one's a fun one because it's we were doing Geek Fest in Everett for Geek Entertainment, and we're going up against Dove and Dangerous. They're pretty much our regional rivals. We wrestled them a lot, and I was beating up Frankie Dove, and I was going to whip him to the barricade that was up on the street, because the ring's in the middle of the street. They have barricades on the sidewalk to keep people away. I was going to whip him into it. He was going to stay over there for a minute. I whip him into it. I start walking back towards the ring, and then we hear the barricade fall. And it's about a city block worth of barricades fall. And it unfortunately lands on a small child that was standing on the barricade. And so just chaos, fiasco. I'm back at the ring. They're asking, where's Frankie? Frankie's over in the crowd, apologizing to people, checking on people, making sure they're okay. People are lifting up the barricade off of this small child that got pinned under it by accident. And so we're all we end up going home early on the match. All four of us go over to this small child. We're like, oh my goodness, are you okay? Little shaken up and everything. We're like, do you want ice cream? Yes, we want yes, I'd love ice cream. Couldn't find any ice cream. Took us forever to find anything. Finally found something, got it back to him. But that would probably be the wildest one as of right now.
Gotcha. Glad to hear that the kid was basically okay, though.
Just a little shaken up because it fell on him. But when you see it fall and you see a kid trapped under the barricade, the first thing in your head is like, no. But yeah.
Absolutely. So, who or what would you say are some of your influences as far as your in-ring work and that kind of thing goes? Who have helped to kind of shape Patrick Tully into the performer that he is?
So a lot of that does go to my coaches, just kind of getting me narrowed into the kind of wrestler I should be. And because of that, I watch a lot of the bigger guys like Bam Bam Bigelow, Vader, Samoa Joe, and Rikishi, and all of them. So you that I go with. Being 6'3", 260, I know I'm not the biggest, but for the indies, I'm a bigger guy. So I try to keep that going.
Right. And I am completely with you on Vader. I was probably late teens to early 20s when Vader came on the scene, and the thing that always impressed me about him is he was one of the first big men to move like a much smaller man, and to be able to do things that a man his size shouldn't be able to do, defying the laws of physics and everything else. I mean, he was special.
Oh yeah. The agility that he has is the reason why he became so popular so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? Is there a match that you find yourself kind of gravitating back toward? It's kind of like comfort food, you can just sort of go back to it and sort of feel at home, and it just speaks to you. Do you have such a match?
I have a few. I do the Goldust Rowdy Piper WrestleMania match. That one's a lot of fun. I'm a huge Goldust fan. I have been for a long time, and I've always liked Rowdy. So that match is just fun in general, especially when he gets hit with the Cadillac and everything. It's ridiculous. That one's a lot of fun. Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, SummerSlam 2002. Just because it's the first time those two ever met in the ring, and it is a barn burner at how crazy athletic that match is. Anything Rock Austin, of course. And then DDP. Anything DDP, WCW days, I can watch, and I'm happy with. But yeah, there's so much that I could just list off that I'm comfortable watching and just happy watching.
Oh yeah, well, speaking of DDP, a guy that I've actually had on the show as a previous guest is actually a deathmatch wrestler here in the Atlanta area by the name of Nathan Mowry. And Nathan's shoot job, he is actually a video editor for DDP Yoga. He actually was involved with the making of the the Jake the Snake Roberts documentary that was filmed, during the time that he was, basically getting his life back on track under DDP's learning tree, so to speak. And so it was interesting talking to him about all of that, and the good that Page has done since his in-ring career has ended, makes his legacy all the more beautiful. I mean, the guy is just an amazing human being.
Oh, he's clearly the best that the wrestling gods could bestow upon us. Like, he helps change people's lives. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of piggybacking on to the previous question, do you have an all-time favorite promo as a fan?
Oh, all-time fit. So I know it's probably not the most serious promo, but it's the cream of the crop Randy Savage promo. Just because of how unhinged it is, but it keeps you engaged the entire time.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Savage's work, on the mic, and somebody, and we were kind of just talking about him, but somebody whose promo style I have always loved was Jake Roberts, because his promos were usually very understated. He didn't yell, he didn't scream, the veins didn't pop out in his head. He just quietly told you what he was going to do to you, and that is actually more menacing than somebody ranting and raving. They say fear the quiet ones, and and somebody that sort of took a page out of his book was also Raven. Raven did the same style, usually very understated, but I mean, he could project menace just without raising his voice, and I love that style. But
it is a great style. I especially remember when they asked him, "What does DDT mean?" and he just said, "The end." And he raised his voice, very monotone with it, and that raspiness to it. Yeah, it makes him more menacing than if you were to be yelling and screaming about it.
Right. And being kind of an old school fan, I mean, the business has evolved and everything, but being a Jake Roberts mark, I hate in many ways seeing the DDT getting relegated to being a mid-match move as opposed to a finisher, because when Jake would hit the DDT, you would have thought he murdered a man. I mean, it looked awful. But now, I mean, DDTs are just kind of a mid-match setup move. And, and part of me, it just kind of hurts my heart,
It's definitely turned more into that transitional move. My coaches, they talk about it. All it takes is one person to start treating it as what it's supposed to be, and as a finishing move for it to start coming back like that. But there's just so many people that use it as, oh, throw a quick DDT real quick, to where nobody's going to treat it as a finisher right now.
Gotcha. Yep. So this is going to be kind of a tough question. And it's completely an opinion question. But in your opinion, at this very moment, who are the best male and best female wrestlers in the world? Who's the best man and who's the best woman right at this moment?
I'd have to say that is a very good question. It's a hard one because there's a lot of really good talent right now.
There sure is. I mean, yeah, it's
in the women's wrestling. We are in the renaissance of women's wrestling right now. So to narrow it down just one would be almost impossible, just because how like Rhea Ripley's killing it right now. Io Sky, Sky Blue, all of them. Like watching the women's wrestling right now is where it's at because we're watching it blossom into something completely new. So it's all of them right now for the women's, I feel like. And for the men's right now, I'd have to say there's such good talent there too because I'm a huge fan of Carmelo Hayes right now. I think he's uber talented. Joe Hendry, like I said, because of how good he is on the mic, his in-ring stuff's awesome. Penta, I feel like Penta's up there. Yeah, you just opened up my brain, and I'm just thinking of all these people now. But that's what I'm going to go with right now. Just everybody I just listed. There's so much more, but
gotcha. Speaking of, on the women's side of things, now that she is in the WWE system, there is a match that feels inevitable that I am dying to see happen, and that's going to be Rhea Ripley and Jordynne Grace. I mean, that's going to be a banger when it happens because two ultra powerful women. That's going to be fire.
Yeah, it's gonna happen eventually. Like, there's no way it doesn't.
Absolutely. So, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would Patrick Tully love to have the opportunity to share a ring with? It can be more than one person. It doesn't have to be one, but who would be your Mount Rushmore that you would love to get in the ring with?
That's a fun one because I would love to get in the ring with like Kurt Angle. He's one of the greatest of time, just natural talent. I would love to get into the ring with someone like Daniel Makabe. I know he's technically retired, but I would love that. Who else? Because I'm a big guy and I use their move sets and stuff as it is. Vader, even though I'm pretty sure I would get destroyed and never be able to wrestle again. But I think Patrick Tully versus Big Man Vader would be an awesome match, even though I would be a smear on the canvas afterwards. Something like that, I think, would be fun.
Gotcha. So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
So, I really enjoy doing my keg stand. I'm sure you saw it in the match with me in closing. I do that handstand, second rope, and it's splash. I really enjoy doing that one. There hasn't been anything that I have taken yet that I'm like, ooh, I wouldn't do that again. I'm not fond of letting a lot of people pick me up in ways where I'm not in control of how I'm landing, but that's just because of my size. But like I said, there's not a lot that I've come across yet where I'm like, ooh, I'm not going to do that.
Right. From the perspective of a fan, I've mentioned this on a few of these, but from the perspective of a fan, a move that always kind of gives me the shivers when I see it being set up for, and you don't see it much these days, but the vertebraker. That move, it just looks like there are so many ways that could go catastrophically bad. Back during the Monday Night Wars, particularly on the WCW side, you were seeing vertebreakers in almost every match. But now you really, it's a pretty rare move to see, which I think that's good. For one thing, it keeps it special, but also, I always just, when I see it being set up for, I'm just like, just don't die,
That is definitely one of those ones that if somebody were to pitch it to me, I'd probably have to be like, let's hold off on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies to one degree or another. So I'll ask, what hurts right now?
My knees.
Your knees.
I had bad knees beforehand, so I take good care of them now. They're always wrapped up in my knee braces. I'm actually on a show. I end up wearing technically 3 pairs of pads on my knees, but it's my knees. They definitely hurt all the time now.
Gotcha. And in the 4 years that you've been doing this, what would you say is the worst bump you have taken?
It was an easier one, and it was during training. It was a dragon screw, which is like a leg drag.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just my body doesn't know how to land for it, even though I'm landing as flat as I can. Every time I take one, I get a shooting pain down my left arm because I do something. I don't know what I do, but every time it messes up my left arm.
Interesting. I've and knowing the kind of the mechanics of that move, I would think that would be hard to learn to land from. I mean, because it's kind of an odd little twisting kind of thing.
It's not, you don't expect it to affect somebody's shoulder from landing flat like that, but every time I take one, it just tweaks my shoulder out real bad for a couple days.
Interesting. So, what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling, specifically indie wrestling?
As somebody that I need to get better on using social media, I was never big on social media until I started wrestling, so I'm trying to get better at it and get more into it. But seeing how it helps get wrestlers' names out there and the ease of getting to be able to film a promo for whatever promotion you're working for, and then they can post it out on theirs, you post it out on yours, other people can share it. It gets more eyes on the product than if it was just on local access TV or anything like that nowadays. I think it's very much a new crucial tool to growing your popularity and your fan base as a promotion, as a wrestler, as anything for it. And it's only going to get bigger, I feel like.
Gotcha. So this question is kind of a 2-part question, and it is a sort of a hot take question. Tonight is the 1-year anniversary of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. They're putting together a big show. So part 1 of the question, do you think they're putting the belt on Braun Breaker tonight?
Ooh. I do think Braun Breaker's going to be getting the belt. I don't know if it'll happen tonight. If it does, it would be a pleasant surprise because I love me some Baby Steiner. But I don't see it happening tonight. I think it might get teased a lot, and it's going to be a match. But I don't think it'll happen myself.
Gotcha.
I think they'll do it to build it up for the next time they meet, to make it a bigger one of the PLEs.
Gotcha. So part 2 of the question, do we see the return of Chris Jericho tonight?
I'm hoping so. I know his contract just ran out with AEW. I think Jericho should come back to WWE for a retirement run of some sort. I know that he has to be on the tail end of his career. But I would love to see him in WWE for at least some time for a retirement tour of some sort.
Agreed. So, knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Get into wrestling earlier when you have healthier body parts.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny. When I was of the age that I could have considered going into the business, you know, it was unfortunately or fortunately, you know, because my life has actually been pretty good, but you know, at the time it was still very much the land of the giants, and I am a comparatively smaller guy. I'm right about 5'5.5", you know. So I mean, you know, at the time that I could have pursued it, there was just going to be absolutely no way. And you know, and now with the evolution of the business, it's really it's been fun for me watching the smaller, really athletic guys making a go of it. You know, to some extent, I feel like I'm living vicariously through the smaller, really athletic, really talented guys. You know, and but yeah, I mean, you know, it has pleased me to see, you know, you were mentioning earlier, you know, Rey Mysterio. He was the one that really shattered the glass ceiling for the small guys. So
And the fact that he's still going strong right now is just a testament to that dude's. He's incredible.
yeah, his work ethic plus the way he seems to really take care of himself. You know, as much as you can doing that job. I mean, you know.
His career's going on to in-ring career's going on to almost 40 years now, I feel like.
I know, it's unreal. So, do you have any pre-show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
I don't have any normal routines or anything I do. Just the normal stretching. I get a little meticulous about my wrist tape and if I have to tape my fingers, but I don't have any zoned in things or anything like that. I try to keep my head clear and I focus on what's about to happen. But there's no rituals or anything that I stick to.
Got you. So, just kind of a quick rundown. What all do you carry in your gear bag, and do you carry anything unique or unusual in your gear?
So, a lot of people know that I kind of my gear bag is an endless chasm of just randomness because I'm pretty good at having a little bit of everything. Um, because there's been times where people are like, "Oh, I need this or that," and I'm like, "Give me a second," and I'll dig through my bag for a second. And if it's not the exact thing they're looking for, it's at least close enough. Um, I don't know if that just comes from my personality of I want to make sure I have everything I need, so I just kind of throw everything in there. Because like in my bag, I have an emergency clown nose. Do I need it? I don't know, but I have it. Uh, I have just a bunch of random stuff in my gear bag, along with all my gear.
Got you. So, you're sort of a Swiss Army knife of wrestling gear.
Kind of.
I like it. I like it. So, you know, something, you know, over the years that you've been doing this, do you have a favorite venue to wrestle in? Is there a venue that just really feels like home, that you just really like to perform in?
So there was a venue for CPW. Uh, it was a pirate themed bar in Linwood, Washington.
Okay.
It was a big open warehouse space that they had with a bar kind of off to the back, but it was just the lighting and everything to it, and there was a stage. It just it had an intimate feeling, but it was also just warm, and it was nice to work in that venue. It didn't hold a lot of people or anything like that. It just, I enjoyed being at that venue. And if that bar didn't go out of business, I think CPW would still be there.
Gotcha. Colosi just piped up in the chat and said Club Hectic.
Yep. That he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep. So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. And so a previous guest of mine, a wrestler out in Texas by the name of Aries Alexander, posed this question. And that is, how far are you willing to go to get to where you want to be?
Ooh. So I guess that implies I have to know where I'm intending to be at for my finish. I don't know exactly what the future holds for me, or what my overall plans are. I'm hoping to make it to about 45, 46 years old of in-ring career, and I'm willing to put in all the work I can for that. Changing my diet's been working out more. When I first started wrestling, I was over 300 pounds, and so I've been altering my lifestyles quite a bit to try to achieve this. So I know that I'm going to put everything I can into it. But with the way life is, and with me being in my mid-30s already, everything's up in the air on it. But I'm willing to put everything I have into it. But yeah.
Gotcha. So since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to pose to the next guest?
Yes. A question that's been mulling around my head a little bit about it is, because there's a lot of people, when they come into wrestling, they think something's owed to them. And my thing is, what are you going to do to try to improve the culture in the indie wrestling scene? What can you do to improve it instead of trying to just take from it or exist in it? What can you do to make it a better space for everybody that's involved?
Got you. So sort of like what Cena was saying recently, that he wanted to basically leave the business better than he found it.
Exactly.
So how would you answer that? What is Patrick Tully doing to try to improve the indie wrestling culture?
I take a lot of pride in how much I try to help my peers and the people that come up after me now. I help out a lot at the school that I trained at, Grit City. I take a lot of pride in doing the new beginner student intake classes. I try to help out a lot with the open ring time and helping them figure out movesets themselves, and just figuring out where they want to be in the wrestling world. And I believe passing on knowledge without expecting anything in return from them is the way to do that. Because if you gatekeep it and you keep it to yourself, it doesn't get passed down and it doesn't get better.
Gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. So we're getting toward the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
Yes, actually, this Friday, it's going to be SOS All That Jazz. It'll be on IWTV as well for anybody that wants to watch it nationwide. If you're in the Washington area, I know we still have some tickets available for it, so stop by. It's in Tacoma at the Edison. It's going to be a great time. It's All That Jazz. We are taking on Delicious and Dangerous in a barroom brawl to reinstate beer. And if we don't win, unfortunately, IPA is going to be breaking up if Delicious Dangerous wins. So there's a lot at stake on this one, so it'll be a good one. And then if you're in the Tacoma area, the Grit City Student Showcase is the day after at the same venue, and that's where you get to see a lot of the newer students that are coming up through Grit City get their first taste and first experience of what it's like to wrestle on a show. So you can see some new up-and-comers of the indie scene get some ring time, and that's a lot of fun as well.
Very cool. Very cool. So as far as what we've got coming up on the Throwdown, this Wednesday night, the 7th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we've got episode 188, and our guest is going to be, she's based in Florida, and she is the co-owner and marketing wizard of the House of Champions in Orlando, Renee Stubel. You know, I don't know if you're familiar at all with House of Champions, but it is an amazing school. I've had a lot of their students and their graduates on the show, and man, they definitely have something very special going on there. And then this Saturday, the 10th at 3 p.m. Eastern, we're actually doing a pop culture related show, related episode. We're doing Pop Goes the Throwdown, and our guest is a musician / comedian by the name of Jason Drew. This guy, his shtick, so to speak, is he basically performs musical covers in an Asian accent that he does not actually have. So, and he is quite the character. So I'm definitely excited to have him on for a little bit of a change of pace. And then this coming Sunday at noon Eastern, which is actually 5 p.m. in the UK, I've got episode 189, and our guest is going to be a UK-based WWE tribute band by the name of Super Slam. And their entire set list is basically WWE walkout themes. So I'm definitely interested to talk to them, and you know, I'm a hobbyist musician myself, so the episodes where I get to sort of, you know, talk shop in both wrestling and music is just you know, throw me in the briar patch. I mean, it's definitely good stuff. But man, I've got to thank you for your time. This has really been a lot of fun, and you know, Steven spoke the truth. He said I was going to have a blast with you, and I truly have.
I appreciate that, and I thank you for your time. This was a wonderful experience, great time. Again, I speak Steven's praises as well. Without him, I wouldn't have gotten in contact with you either. Hopefully, we become friends just like you and Closey have. You can always reach
Absolutely.
out. And maybe we can do this again in the future sometime.
Absolutely. You know, Pelosi and I are sort of we've got a bit of an ongoing collaboration going. We've been kind of shooting some content here and there. Actually, we've got a video that we shot last night that will be. I'm still working on the editing, but it'll be going up on YouTube in the next few days. We actually watched and reacted to the match from 1984 between Ric Flair and Kerry Von Erich for the NWA title at Texas Stadium, and it was a lot of fun. You know, I had not seen that match since I was like 15, and so getting to see that again and you know, sort of re-experiencing it with him and just basically you know, sort of having a running commentary on the match, which is just a lot of fun. And I love doing stuff like that. And yeah, you know, hopefully we can definitely collaborate some more in the future. You know, think of yourself as part of the Throwdown family now. So, you know, I can tell you're good people, and I look forward to seeing what we can do in the future.
I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to that as well. And as you probably know about Colosi, he's very passionate about content, and he's just a character on his own right. And I'm amazed
sure.
I've gotten you into doing some kind of collaboration on watching some Family Guy or something, because he's into that.
Oh, for sure. And that's the fun thing about all of this. Life can take you in some really cool directions if you let it. So
100%.
Absolutely. So before we wrap this up, do you have any final words for the audience?
Just keep being a fan of professional wrestling, especially the indie scene. The indie scene is growing to a point where I don't think it's ever been at before. The access that you have to being able to go to wrestling shows and support local independent artists and performers has never been as abundant as it is now. So get out there, support your local indie wrestlers. We put our bodies on the line, and we go through a lot of pain to entertain you and make sure you guys have a wonderful time. And so just show up and bring the positive energy and just make it memorable for us as well.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, until Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. With Renee Stubel from the House of Champions, be good to each other, love each